name's Brendan O'Sullivan, a Toastmaster from Brisbane, Australia. Welcome to my Toastmasters World Tour Podcast. Please join me as I travel virtually around the world and chat to Toastmasters from different countries and all walks of life. Let's explore! Last week, in the very first episode of Toastmasters World Tour, I chatted to a non-Toastmaster who had never sat in on any form of a Toastmaster meeting to gauge his interests and expectations. For this week's episode, we travel virtually to Dublin, Ireland, the land of shamrocks, leprechauns and the Blarney Stone, to chat to Allen Higgins, another non-Toastmaster, but one who has had some exposure. He sat in as a member of the audience on the finale of my recent Speechcraft course run over Zoom. Listen in to find out why he's interested in potentially joining Toastmasters. Welcome to the show, Alan.
Hi, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
So you're my cousin's cousin, but not a direct blood relation. That must have come as a relief to you when you worked that out.
Oh, yeah. No, that means whatever you've got, I can't get. So happy days. That works the other way too, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you're originally from Australia. How did you end up living in Ireland?
Yeah, I'm an Aussie and long generations of from the colonial and convict and other waves of immigration into Australia. So absolutely no connections with Europe. And so I guess I ended up in Ireland through a long set of stops along a sort of finish college, finish uni in Australia, work abroad, working holidays, different countries. And I met my to-be wife in Cambridge in the UK. Oddly enough, she was working with another physio who was from one of my friend circle from Brisbane. So it was kind of an introduction. That's how it all got kicked off.
Aha! So you've been snaffled by a lovely Irish lass. That old chestnut.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Mary.
That's right. Who can resist the power of love? Okay, you've been caught up in that one, so we can't get you back.
Yeah, you can't, and you can't get through this chat with music lyrics, can you? Power of love. We could have a whole conversation on.
I'm sure we could. So how long have you been living in Ireland now?
Oh, gee, probably it's over 30 years. So officially lived here longer than I lived in Australia.
Well, you still got your Aussie accent, I reckon.
Yay!
Does anyone say you sound Irish or?
No, no one ever says I sound Irish. They get, I guess, over here, oddly enough, you don't have many Aussies make it all the way to Ireland. Some do, but not many stay. And so people aren't really trained on the accent. So they get that it may be Southern Hemisphere or maybe sometimes
Yeah.
some other place, but
Fair
yeah.
enough. Now you're a university lecturer. What's that in?
Yeah, so I work in the Management Information Systems subject area in the College of Business here at UCD. We use the word college in Ireland for university. They don't really use the word university, but college is college. And then you can have colleges within colleges.
I see.
So the College of Business within the University College Dublin. It's the biggest university in Ireland. And the business school, which, in Queensland, it was Commerce. I don't know if they've rebranded or what have you over the years. So mainly training accountants and business career path students, and I teach an undergraduate and postgraduate in the technology space. So teaching, bring them into how you'd become a product designer, product manager, how you manage software engineering teams. One of the great inversions of reality is that many high-tech companies are actually run by business graduates rather than software engineers or computer scientists,
Right.
which is kind of weird. I suppose power follows the money, but anyway, I try and make sure that the business people have a sensitivity to both the digital product that's designed and also the managing the people who are involved in producing it. So that's the kind of broad scope of what I teach in.
Okay, well. So recently I was running a speechcraft course for skin cancer educators, and I had the thought that, as you're also an educator, I decided to reach out to you, trying to think outside the square from an educator in another field to see if they had any thoughts about engaging their audience. Did you have any thoughts about that when you're lecturing?
Yeah, specifically, I had an intimation this is where you were going to go with some of this chat because we're kind of doing a cold take, right?
Yeah,
I'm unprepared.
that's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of guessed that this is where you were going to go with the chat. And yeah, I've given it some thought, a considerable thought, as many of us do, because we're involved in speechcraft, for want of a better word. It's a good title, actually, better than what we would usually use. So yeah, how you tell, I call it storytelling, is my label
Oh,
for the topic.
sure. Great. And,
Um,
and so have you had, like, obviously you know your stuff in the software engineering. Have you had any formal sort of training in public speaking, that sort of thing?
No, so no formal training in public speaking, self-taught, but then self-taught means you're looking for good practice and trying to replicate it by
Sure.
mimicking, copying, trialing of, just and more importantly, I think perhaps what I found most effective from this point in time, looking back, is when I started recording some of my speeches and interactions and then listening back to the recordings and editing the recordings for my own podcast. I have a teaching podcast
Right, yeah.
that I've become more conscious and deliberate in the way I engage in this process of articulating for others. Call it storytelling, call it what you will.
And so is your podcast like this? Is it sort of chatting to someone else, or is it just you on your own talking and educating, or what's it?
No, 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 no. It's very much like this, Brendan. It was funny as the preamble before you started recording, that those uh, top tips for the guest, I often give them to my guests.
Right.
So I was just happy to sit back and hear it being delivered to me. Um, yeah, no, it's always all of the pods I've delivered or captured. Most of them are conversations like this. Um, Not often centered on me as the subject or as the interviewer, because I'm in a teaching role. I structure them so that my students act as the guest, as the hosts for the
Right.
guests. So I'll
Right.
have done most of the prep and direction and production. Um, Not always. I don't want to take credit for it. Some student groups are really into doing it too, but the guests are at ease because they know the sort of scope of topic we'll be discussing. They may have actually had 5 or 6 questions. My rule is for a half hour to 1 hour interview, you can really only get through 6 questions because guests are naturally, but they're talking to a topic that they know about, so
Yeah.
they can be quite effusive.
Yes, loquacious. Yeah. So I was, I mean, I'm interested therefore at the end because I'm pretty new to this to get your feedback on and tips on podcasting. But I'll ask you this pressing question. Do you ever have any of your guests go rogue on you? And if so, how do you handle them?
Yeah. No, not often. I don't think anyone has really gone rogue. Um, if you're looking for things that can go wrong, actually, it's you or me as the host that where things go rogue.
Yeah.
You can have the best plan in mind, and you rely too much on the prop that you've prepared, and
Yeah. Right.
you have to be, ready to sort of segue to another topic or to uh, get go rogue might be the guest going on and on too long, but sometimes they go off topic. Just steering it back, gentle nudging. Other things that can go wrong, I think. yeah, you yourself can have a brain freeze. So that's no good.
It's possible. It's funny you said about adapting because I was actually going to bring up the podcast and you'd mentioned that to me before, and I was going to do that at the end. But as you've mentioned it now, I thought I'd jump on that and discuss that a little. But getting back to where I was heading with this is it's funny how you can start a conversation in one direction. I was interested in your thoughts on being an educator, and there can be unexpected outcomes because you suddenly became very interested in Toastmasters. And I think there was a specific reason. Why was that?
My specific reason in getting very interested in Toastmasters recently is all down to you, Brendan.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You actually kudos to you. This le recent class that you ran and group that you brought through. Um, I mean, you had a lot of moving parts in your production,
yeah,
and I was only able to sit in on the final session for the full duration, and it was just incredible. You had maybe six support people, had structural roles. You had in fantastic kind of visualizations, and I was just brilliant. So you're the reason.
thank you. But I think you also thought there was a specific purpose that you could apply some public speaking to coming up. Is that right?
Yeah, okay. So I think this is pretty classic, isn't it? The wedding speech. So that's something I'm preparing for later in the year.
So this is your daughter Ella, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, she seems to think I'll be able to speak, no problem. Um, she's also pretty relaxed about what I might actually might say. That's the big challenge for me, actually, crafting the speech. But she said, "There's one thing you're not allowed to do when you're standing up there holding that mic is don't go off mic, as in go
Uh,
off angle for the mic, because the kids are going to a lot of weddings these days, and so many of the dads or the mums are holding the mic up in the air or off to the side or drop it down to their waist so no one can hear what they're saying."
all right. Okay. So tech issue. I thought you were going to go to some topic that shall not be discussed.
No, no.
But so basically, you're giving the father of the bride speech, and actually, that's not an uncommon reason for some folk to join Toastmasters. I think there's actually a specific project about that in the Toastmasters social speech electives that you might be interested if you do join. But I would have thought, you're a lecturer. Wouldn't it suffice to give your son-in-law to be a good stern lecture on how to treat your darling princess?
That's a great inspiration point. I think I might take that on board.
I mean, have you seen the movie called Meet the Fockers? Have you seen that one?
Oh my God. And then there's Father of the Bride. There's so many good
Yeah.
movies. Yeah, the Focus is to very edgy.
Yeah, I mean, you're a software engineer, so I'd imagine you'd be very good at surveillance and making homemade lie detectors, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my God. No, I'm not sure that I'll go down that road, but thanks for the idea.
No, fair enough. So anyhow, you came to my speech finale, and has it given you any ideas of how you might approach anything differently in your lecturing or with the speech for the father of the bride speech?
Well, not for the Father of the Bride speech, but I was impressed by the way, and I presume you were reproducing some of the practices that teach masters inculcate in their people, that's your system or your kind of, and that was the very um, the timekeeper, the topic watchers, and you
Mhm.
probably got proper labels for these roles, but I thought they were very helpful. They were
Mm.
very dedicated. My gosh, they were totally professional in the job of perhaps, warning a speaker that they've gone over time or to actually record the times and the durations, the topic watches for the keywords that you wanted
Mm.
to trace.
Yeah.
So I thought those structural elements were something I don't ever trial or even think of because I don't have a team in the way I normally in the way I work. So I thought
Sure.
that was really interesting.
So have you thought about joining a local club?
Well, I have, yes, and I've looked into how many clubs there are in the vicinity. There's one naturally, as you might guess, in the university, and I've reached out. So we'll see how that goes.
Sure. So if you do join, the first speech people usually have to do is called their icebreaker speech. Now, that can be talking about your hobbies and stuff. And I know you have your own worm farm hobby. That sounds like a great thing to talk about. Can worms break through ice?
No, they can get frozen. You want to
Okay.
make sure you might not realize Dublin is kind of temperate, but yeah, we do get the odd frost and snow situation, but they get on okay. I think because the worm farm, just for the anyone who's curious, I use the can of worms system, which is a three-tiered and a drain base, drum-shaped wormery. I have two of them because we produce a lot of compostables, and it just allows for a sort of slower rotation, doesn't put the worms under too much pressure. But even on the coldest days, there'll be a core of this sort of composting soil and humus in it, that acts as an insulator. So they don't normally freeze.
That's awesome. Yeah, and what I found, like this sort of reminds me, and no disrespect to you, but it's not necessarily the sort of topic that would grab my attention particularly. But really good speakers, and you were already piquing my interest because of the enthusiasm, and that's what sells it. The enthusiasm you speak about it is like, oh wow, I actually do want to listen to this. Maybe there is something in this worm farming. So thank you for
Yeah,
that. I think
well,
you're off to a good
no,
start there. So
stick with it. Look it up. You produce compostables. The best sort of it's a very eco-friendly way of producing your own compost and plant nutrient, but you get to be the responsible person for hundreds of thousands of little lives, tiny lives, each generating new lives. So we've had ours for nearly 25 years. Um,
that's
Big responsibility, but it's fun.
I tell you what, using that word lives, it makes it sound very important all of a sudden. You've sold it. Well done. Now, let me just say, give you one other thought for your Father of the Bride speech. I'm not sure whether it's going to come in the program, but if people have had a bit to drink, sometimes people get a bit disruptive. One of my favorite Toastmasters projects or speeches is where someone, and one of my club mates, Joshua Morotti, got up recently and had to do this. He had to speak on a topic, any topic, and then there were people planted. Normally, we're very quiet and respectful, but on this occasion, we had to sit back, and people had different forms of disruption, whether it was their phone going off, or being argumentative, or just chatting amongst each other. And he had to kind of diffuse each of those situations. So we didn't have anyone drunk, even though we're Toastmasters. But, that might be an interesting one to look at if you do join. If you do join, would you be interested in coming back down the track and seeing how things matched up with your expectations?
Yeah, I suspect that if I do join, that I'll be required to. And if even if it's not required, you'll make it happen.
Oh, I'd never forced you to, but it's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much, Alan. Thanks for listening to today's show. One of the key elements of Toastmasters is evaluations. This is how we grow and improve, both by encouraging comments for things we got right and points for improvement. We all learn and benefit from these evaluations, not just the person being evaluated. So any feedback in the comments is greatly appreciated. If you have a Toastmasters story you'd like to share or would like to be on the show, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at toastmastersworldtour@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.